Bona tarde. Louise and I and Attila have the what we call the graveyard shift, and then everybody is tired. If you think you're tired, it's 3:30 a.m. in the morning in New Zealand. And just to wake you up, I have a little exercise for us. So if you could please stand up. Stand up, yes. Okay, we're going to just step to, we'll all step that way, right? Unda. Dos. Uno, dos. Uno, dos. Uno, dos. Uno, dos. Uno, dos. Uno, dos. Mumble, man. Mumble. Okay, you can, just to wake you up. Has anybody learnt how to dance? Can anybody dance? Salsa, ballroom, Latin American dancing? Yeah? Ooh, I'll note that for later on. If you've ever learned how to dance, it's very hard and it can take a long time to dance well. And however, if you have rhythm, it's much easier. I'm just picking up on what you were talking about before. And for some people, it's hard to switch to vaping, and for other people, it's easy. I have a pretty dry topic, so I wanted to try and keep you awake, and talking about the regulation in New Zealand. In the program, it had perfect, and I was asked, what is perfect? And that's a good question, because there is no perfect solution. Every country has its own unique mix of ideology, barriers. Some products are banned, some products are allowed, and we face an enormous range of proposals to ban more things, flavors, and where you can buy them, which product you can buy. So what is an ideal situation for regulation? And New Zealand was mentioned a few times today, and that's what I'm going to talk about. A few of us were in London last week presenting at the GTNF conference, Global Tobacco Nicotine Forum, and it was suggested that what is needed is for one country to get it right, or fairly good, better than what we have now, and be a model for the rest of the world so we can see what's going to happen. And again, picking up on Jerry's suggestion about case studies, if one country could get a kind of an ideal regulatory environment, and then let's see what happens, and then that can show other countries what to do. So, is Snus legal in New Zealand? So in New Zealand, of course, it's legal to smoke cigarettes, and it's still a grey area whether or not it was legal to vape. The devices themselves were never banned. They're a consumer product. What was banned, presumably what the Ministry of Health said was banned, was the nicotine e-liquid. So e-liquid without nicotine is okay. Similar in Australia, different states. Attila might talk about that. In Japan, the devices are not banned. They're illegal. What is banned is the nicotine e-liquid. So there are vapors in Japan vaping non-nicotine e-liquid. So our existing Smokefree Environments Act from 1990, one of the first Smokefree Environments Act in the world. So New Zealand has a history of being an exemplar and a role model for the rest to follow. I'm sorry about that, because of course the FCTC was started off with New Zealand as an example, and it's just got worse. So, and more barriers. But the Smokefree Environments Act prohibits the import, sale, distribution, so you're not even allowed to give to a friend, and the advertising of oral tobacco products. Now that is a historical ruling. It was in previous acts of the government, and it dates back to when people were chewing tobacco and spitting. So it was actually about stopping people from spitting, and it was done for hygiene reasons, to stop the spread of germs. So it was put into legislation a long time ago to ban oral tobacco. It was about chewing tobacco and spitting. Currently, Jerry, it is legal to import snus for personal use. So when you say it's banned, you can import it for your own use. Same with any of the products that are banned, you can bring them in for your own use. And in Japan, you can import nicotine e-liquid for your own use. So initially, the Ministry of Health claimed that nicotine e-liquid was banned under this clause that banned oral tobacco products. But you could still import for your own use. So remember I said that clause was about chewing tobacco. So are heated tobacco products legal in New Zealand? You can import for your own use. And initially, the Ministry of Health claimed that the heat sticks in the IQOS were illegal under the same clause in the law because they're an oral tobacco product. But do you chew a heat stick? No. Do you chew a nicotine e-liquid? No. So no one questioned the Ministry of Health. This is one of the problems we have. People don't question their government and the interpretation of the law. But you must. Don't just trust that they are interpreting the law as it is read. So what happened? Late last year, the Ministry of Health took Philip Morris to court for breaching the Smokefree Environments Act. They said they were importing for sale the heat sticks, which were illegal under the Act. The judge dismissed the case. The judge said it is a tobacco product. It has tobacco in it, therefore it is a tobacco product. It's not an oral product for chewing. So the part of the Act, it said oral tobacco product intended for chewing or mastication, not for smoking or inhalation. It specifically said in the law, in the Act, intended for chewing. So he dismissed the case. Philip Morris argued in their presentation to the judge that also this was a risk-reduced product, and the ministry was trying to ban a product that is risk-reduced, harm-reduced. The whole intent of the Smoke-Free Environments law was to reduce harm. So in the very beginning part of the legislation, it says the intent of this law is to reduce harm to bystanders, to reduce harm to people using the product. And Philip Morris's lawyer argued what they want to do goes against the intent of the Act, and the judge agreed. This is a crucial point, that if your Smoke-Free Environments Act, or whatever law you have, was it established with the intent to reduce harm? Does it say the intent of this law is to reduce harm? And then is your government trying to ban risk-reduced, harm-reduced products, or make it harder to access harm-reduced products, then they may be going against the very intent of the Act. I thought it was fabulous because the implications of the judge agreeing with this statement was that most of the people in tobacco control in New Zealand who were and had been vehemently, rabidly anti-vaping and arguing for prohibition, who were funded and established and funded by this Act, were actually acting contrary to the Act. So ripples of concern and discontent went through that community. So what did they do? The Ministry of Health, on their website, they now say the implications of that court case, which was only about heat sticks, not nicotine e-liquid, not Snus, they say all tobacco products, except types that are absorbed through the oral mucosa, e.g. Snus, this is on their website, and chewing tobacco may be lawfully imported, sold, and distributed under the Smokefree Environments Act. That's not what the judge said. That isn't what the case was about. This is the ministry's interpretation of it. And nobody is questioning, oh great Ministry of Health, government. But you must question the government. So where did they get that from, that Snus was illegal? It wasn't even talked about in that court case. No doubt they sought legal opinion. So did I. So today, I at least am able to say, well, I have checked with a lawyer. I have had a legal opinion on what I'm saying to you today, and I don't agree with them. So, under the current law, tobacco products, as the heats were ruled to be, they have tobacco in them. They have to be in plain packaging. They have to have the health warnings, the same health warnings that are on smoked tobacco, which is obviously going to send a very mixed and confused message to anyone looking to buy them, because it says smoking kills. And now the ministry is saying that nicotine e-liquids are also a tobacco product and have to be in plain packaging and carry the same health warnings. Head desk, bang. Yep. So what's the truth? Tobacco products that are not oral for chewing and are not making a health claim, if you make a health claim, then it goes under another law about pharmaceutical products. So as long as you don't make a health claim, you can say vaping will help you save money, but you can't say this is a cessation device. If you're a cessation worker, we can say what we like. But if you're selling, you can't say it will help your health or it's a cessation device. They actually were never banned in the first place, because the law was written way before these were even invented, and there was nothing actually in the law specific to nicotine e-liquid or e-cigarettes, vaporizers, heat not burn, all these new technologies. The law is out of date and it needs to be updated. They can't suddenly say they're legal. They were never illegal in the first place, the nicotine e-liquid. So should Snus, Swedish Snus, be legal? It's not for chewing. Even if it was captured, there's a few words that say for any other oral use. Okay, it is for other oral use, so I can see why the ministry is going, nah, we still want it to be illegal. But a judge might decide well, this is a proven risk-reduced, harm-reduced product, and therefore it would serve the intent of the law to reduce harm even better than everything else. If it went to court and the Ministry versus Philip Morris case was just heard in a district court, you know, I mean, it could go up to a high court. It would be good to have a high court consider this, but there's the precedent of the district court case saying the heat sticks are harm reduced and should be legal. If it was tested, I believe the ministry would lose again. That Snus, Swedish Snus, would be found to be in line with the intent of the Act. It would reduce harm. It is not for chewing, and likely it would be deemed legal, even though it might not have been illegal at all in the first place. But we were all told it was, and we all just believed them. So I believe that Swedish Snus could help New Zealand reach our Smoke-Free 2025 goal. Not on its own. We have vaping. Vaping is assured. I'm certain we're not going to reverse that. Heat not burn, I'm not sure. The government is drawing up new legislation. They might try to argue that, okay, let's make it clear and ban heated tobacco products and ban Swedish Snus. We may still have a fight on our hands, but at the moment we have a new supplier in New Zealand who is now selling Swedish Snus. We have all 3 products for sale in New Zealand. If this could continue, I believe that is the ideal, to have the full range of harm-reduced products. And so every smoker can choose a product that fits with them, can mix the products up, so they, like a lot of vapors here even do, and have a vaporizer, a mod, a Juul, some Snus, some Zin. You know, that's the ideal in my mind. We're yet to see if we can get that. And I call on you to help us when we get to that. Will Juul be banned? Juul has given the anti-vaping prohibitionist lobby a new story to tell. So they are using Juul and creating alarm again, all over again. Same stories, new product. And they're getting into the Associate Minister of Health. They have scared her about Juul, and I think that they will push for probably banning higher levels of nicotine, restricting where you can buy it, and they will want that applied to all products, including the current vaping products. That's me. My disclosure, I've never received money from a tobacco company or a vaping company. I still don't, despite the rumours. And many, many years ago, I had pharmaceutical money. I'm now established a new centre of research excellence focusing on Indigenous smoking and sovereignty, and that is funded by the Foundation for a Smoke-Free World. So thanks to the Foundation, I'm here today, and thank you to Carmen for inviting me and your team. I think this is a fabulous milestone for you in Spain, and I really hope that everybody here helps you fight the good fight going forward. Kia ora.
Any questions?
Oh. Any questions? Carmen?
It's more a commentary than a question, because it's curious that here in Spain we have not the Juul. We have another post, but we have not the Juul. And recently, it's very curious that we have a lot of news in the press talking about Juul, panicking about Juul. Yeah, we have not the Juul. We have the limitation for 20 milligrams by TPD, and I cannot understand why they are alarming us with the Juul if we, in fact, we have not the product in our market. It's only a reflection.
Yeah, it's just a news story for the anti-vaping lobbyists to use. So it's a strategy, and each new product that comes along, they can try and create alarm and argue for what they want. So in New Zealand, what they want for tobacco products is to restrict sales to licensed retailers only. We don't have that, whereas I think you have that in France. They want to remove flavors from tobacco products, lots and lots of things. Ban smoking everywhere. And so with vaping, first they wanted it banned altogether. And then they said, oh, well, it should be only in licensed vendors and vape shops. Really what they want is all of that for tobacco. If they can get it for vaping, then of course they can get it for tobacco products. So each new product just is another tool to whip up more, the same story. But you can't keep going to the media with the same story. So the vaping story is done, and it's not news anymore. So each new product will be news, and then they can run out the same story.
I think just going on from what you were saying there, with Juul-mageddon, as I call it, is that if 5 years ago, again, a nascent e-cigarette industry, and so really what the media and journalists and the tobacco control fanatics concentrated on was tanks. Tanks are unsafe. We want, I mean, you could spill it, but that's why we've got in the EU a 2 milliliter limit. It's annoying, we got around it. Likewise, a 10 milliliter bottle because it's dangerous. In fact, the whole thing's dangerous. And then we've got batteries that explode everywhere, constantly and poison centers are being inundated by... Imagine if somebody had made something that was incredibly easy to use, was slick, that was pretty much marketed with incredible quality tolerances, that you actually had to buy something, that unless admittedly you ate a pod, and even then I would need probably one of the scientists to tell me, but I would assume it's the same as eating Lego. I mean, you're not going to get any nicotine from it, I assume. It would have been prized as being the best thing since sliced bread. But it's popular. I mean, as somebody said, it's got a 70% cessation rate. And so let's go after that. There is no logic. Never assume any logic from tobacco control because they don't have any.